So you've gotten a schizophrenia diagnosis. Now what? It can feel like you've been handed a map to a brand new, kind of confusing country. But here's the thing, you're not alone on this journey. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the practical, step-by-step guidance from the book, Diagnosis Schizophrenia, to help you build your own personal roadmap to recovery.
Okay, let's really think about this quote for a second. You know, the hospital, it's a safe place, right? Everything's structured, there's support right there when you need it. But the authors point out something really crucial. The real journey, the part where you truly start to reclaim your life, well, that begins the second you step back into your own home.
All right, so that leads us right into the first part of our roadmap, the essential strategies for staying well. This is all about taking the skills you've started to learn and actually using them in your day-to-day life.
And this is a big deal. When you leave the hospital, you get more control back over your life. And that's awesome. It's so empowering. But it also means you're the one in the driver's seat, and you've got to make those healthy choices for yourself every single day.
So how do you manage that? Well, one of the most important tools the book talks about is a relapse prevention plan. Honestly, think of it as your own personal smoke detector. It's a plan you put together when you're feeling good. So if you ever start to smell smoke, you know exactly what to do.
And these are some of the things you'd be looking out for, those little alarms. The book mentions stuff like, are your hallucinations coming back? Do you feel like people are talking about you or that someone might hurt you? Are your thoughts getting all jumbled up? Seeing these signs isn't a reason to freak out. Nope. It's just your cue to act, and act early. The plan is simple. Call your doctor or therapist right away.
Okay, so you've got your alarm system set up. But what about the day-to-day stuff? That brings us to our next section, building your toolkit. Let's get into the practical strategies the book offers for managing symptoms when they pop up.
First off, it's super helpful to get a handle on the different kinds of symptoms. The book breaks it down really simply. Positive symptoms aren't good symptoms, they're things that are added to your experience, like hallucinations. And negative symptoms? Those are things that are taken away or reduced, like having low energy or feeling emotionally flat. It's a simple way to think about it, but man, it makes a huge difference.
So let's take a look at a really common positive symptom, delusions. We're talking about beliefs that a person holds on to really tightly, even if they don't line up with reality. And here's the thing to remember. To the person experiencing it, that delusion feels 100% real. That's why just telling them they're wrong, well, it just doesn't work. So what does work? How do you cope? The book lays out some really practical steps. And notice, these are all things you can do. It's about talking to your support team, being super careful to take your medication exactly as prescribed, maybe exploring something like cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, and even trying to gently challenge those thoughts by looking for real-world evidence. It's all about giving you tools to take back some of that control. Okay, now let's switch gears to a negative symptom that can be just exhausting, feeling tired all the time. The book makes a really important point here. This isn't about being lazy, not at all. It can be a symptom of the illness itself, or, as we see here, it could be a side effect of medication. Figuring out which one it is with your doctor is the absolute first step.
And hey, that's a perfect segue into our next set of tools. Look, medication is often a huge part of treatment, but learning how to handle the side effects is what makes it work for you in the long run.
Let's talk about one that's really common and can be tough to deal with, weight gain. But you're not helpless here. The book gives a clear 3-step game plan. First, talk to your doctor. Let them know your concerns. Then, focus on practical daily habits, healthy eating, filling up on what the book calls friendly foods like fruits and veggies. And finally, get moving. Stay active with regular exercise that works for you.
And tied right into that, the authors really emphasize how important it is to keep an eye out for more serious issues. Some medications can up the risk for diabetes. So, watching for signs like, are you going to the bathroom a lot more? Are you super thirsty all the time? Losing weight for no reason? This is why it's so important to have a regular medical doctor on your team, not just your psychiatrist. It's about your whole health.
All right, so we've started to fill up our toolkit for handling all the internal stuff. Now let's zoom out a bit and look at navigating the world around us. This is all about making smart, healthy choices with things like substances and relationships, anything to protect your recovery. And you know, the book isn't afraid to get into some of the trickier, more sensitive parts of life. And there's a good reason for that. Making smart choices about your physical health is one of the best ways to protect your mental health. They're totally connected.
This chart just lays it all out, super clear. This isn't about judging anyone, it's just science. It's about what happens in your brain. I mean, look at this. Marijuana can actually make psychosis worse. Alcohol can mess with your meds and make depression worse. And stimulants, like cocaine, they can straight up cause psychosis. Knowing this stuff is power.
And the book is just as straightforward when it talks about sexual health. The advice is all about cutting down on stress and risk. Practicing safer sex is framed as something that's absolutely necessary. But there's another really smart piece of advice in there. If you're having symptoms of psychosis, your judgment might not be at its best. It might be a good idea to just hold off on sex until you're feeling more like yourself again.
And speaking of sexual health, when it comes to HIV and AIDS, the book gives a clear definition, but it also gives a really important message of hope. Yes, a diagnosis is serious, but with modern medicine, it is absolutely not the death sentence people used to think it was. Getting tested early and staying on top of treatment is everything.
So, that brings us to the end of our little tour. We've laid out our roadmap from leaving the hospital to building a toolkit for your everyday life. The book gives you the map, but you're the one who has to take the journey. So I'll leave you with this question. After all this, what's the one small, totally doable first step you can take on your own recovery roadmap, starting today?